Hey Clashers, sneak peek number 2 for the March update, and this means we're going to get a new equipment. On top of that, we're going to get as well a dark elixir troop, and alongside that, some cost and time reductions, as well as some bug fixes. But let's get things started with the new equipment. The Minion Prince is getting the final common equipment, and this means this is kind of working like the rocket spear for the Royal Champion. It's a long range shot at the beginning when you're deploying the Minion Prince. And that is the big difference. While the Rocket Spear is an active ability, this one is passive. As soon as you're going to deploy the Minion Prince, on the max level, 7 shots are going to have a longer range and more DPS. As well, over the entire attack, you're going to have more attack speed for the Minion Prince, so your DPS technically is increased. But how should you use this? Well, unfortunately, this equipment is not that great for the majority of tower level. The reason why? Quite simple. You need the Angry Jelly. Just take a look at this. There's so many storages. You just skip that super easily just using the Angry Jelly, and you're just taking down the entire part of the village. The Angry Jelly is turning this equipment into a really good one. But what is the best use case? The best use case is with a Minion Prince charge. This might be strange because if you catch a couple of Black Mines, you're kinda done. Not really, because we're using as well the metal pants. This is not only having a lot of hit point recovery, but on top of that as well, we're going to have for quite some time then a lot of tanking on the Minion Prince, and since the Warden is always behind, you're good to go to pretty much charge half the base already, because this Minion Prince has even more DPS than the Royal Champ, and with the Warden Rage Aura, oh boy, that's a lot of damage. As well, something I would recommend, but I wanted to show it because a lot of people will suggest it. Sneezy in combination to this. Yes, it's nice that you can spawn some like of those extra additional troops which can like tank damage or tank red mines, but the problem here is that it's having such a long range that it's falling behind too much. I would just recommend you the Electro Owl overall. But you saw the value, the damage we were able to do, it's just crazy. And if you want to get as much of the update as possible maxed out quickly, and you want to buy some offers from the in-game shop, make sure that you're supporting your favorite content creator, and if you want to support me and the channel, make sure that you're using credit code iTzu. I really appreciate that. But let's move on to the new Dark Elixir troop, and then at the end, don't worry, we'll take a look at the best use cases in full for both of the new things we're going to have added with the update. But this new Dark Elixir troop is going to be added for Town Hall 15 and above. This is kind of working like the Clash Royale furnace overall, where you're spawning your fire spitters over time, and they can as well deal some damage. The use cases overall, though, are quite limited. The most obvious thing might be, okay, you can use this as a funnel option, but with 18 housing space, a Yeti or a Bay Dragon lifetimes feel better, because the hit points of the Fire Mites, they don't have that many. And if we just now take a look at that with, for example, the new Inferno Tower level and how the interaction is, you will see in just a second that they go down really quick. And that is obviously then a problem. So let's just take a look at this. We're deploying 6 of those furnaces. And this means, yes, they're getting the storages eventually, but that's a lot of housing space to make sure that you're guaranteed that they are reaching the final destination. And as soon as those are gone, the Inferno Tower on its own can defend themselves versus those fire mites. Like, it's not that great overall, but then the question is, what are the best use cases? Funneling would be the obvious one. It's not that great there. Behind other troops, well, it's attacking everything, so not really sure. A side note, it's not going to trigger any traps from the fire mites. Important though, if you place the oven on something like that, it's going to explode. And this is bugged right here. Hopefully they're going to fix it until the update is there. But how it's supposed to work, if the oven is getting destroyed right away, all of the fire mites are going to be spawned. So pretty much how this works, it's like a combination of a siege barracks, which is having like, I don't know, a baby with the Yeti. Because it's first, like it's stationary, which means it can't move. Second thing is, when it's taking damage, it's spawning more of those fire mites. And in the blimp, well, we have the same bug happening here again, where all of the fire mites are disappearing after the oven is gone. But again, it would just go for like storages most likely, because those things are attacking everything. This is the big problem here. But one thing which this new troop is good at, and it's really annoying, is at the defensive side of things. And this is the important thing here. By the way, There are some troops in the game which are really annoying on the defensive side, and this is why they're nerfed there specifically for the defense. Like the Ice Golem. By now it has like 9 seconds of freeze on offense. If you ever attack an Ice Golem Clan Castle, it might take, or might seem like an eternity, but it's not 9 seconds for every single Ice Golem. Instead, it's like cut in half or like something like that, which means like roughly 4 seconds. And it's the same thing here with this troop. It's having way less spawn fire mites. As well, where to use the poison, right? It's kind of tricky. But let's move on. There's as well some balance changes, especially the troops which are spawning troops, which means the Super Witch. For whatever reason, it's receiving a nerf, unfortunately, and we're talking here about the housing space of the big boys. Instead of having 20 housing spaces, it's now going to be 10, and this means you can actually take them out with spring traps. That is quite a big deal, because those are the main reasons why Super Witches are staying alive. As well, other troops which are spawning troops are going to be changed, like the Druid, from 16 to like 10 housing space, or as well from like Lava Hounds, Ice Hound, the pups, are reduced from 2 to 1 housing space. The same as like air skeleton traps are from 2 to 1 housing space. So overall, a couple of the housing spaces adjusted, but the biggest really thing is with the Super Witch, because from 20 to 10 means that those giant skeletons can be now flanked away from spring traps if they're not changing this anymore. The next change as well is happening in connection of the removal of the training time for the new update. Which means a couple of days after the new update, you will have the change with the training time, which will take some time after the update. Won't happen right away with the update, but after that, you can't force quit attacks anymore, which means the attack is always going to play out. And because of that, in Builder Base, because for Builder Base and Clan Capital this works as well, they're adjusting the loot to make sure that you're not getting punished too much, I guess. But now, let's try to take a look at a couple of use cases for the new stuff. Let's start things off with the new Dark Elixir troop. And we have this one in the Clan Castle, to be more specific, in the Siege Barracks. The main reason for this is that the Siege Barracks is going to open in a delayed fashion, and then it's going to have the furnaces deployed on the outside, and this means you have like the non-stop support coming in from the outside with the fire mites, while the Root Riders are making sure that they're staying protected and they can actually reach the final destination and actually jump into the buildings. Problem here though is, because they're taking everything, it might just happen that they're only cleaning up storages. Not the worst thing to happen, but I still think this might be one of the best use cases on offense, which is kind of sad, but I guess that's how it is. As well, I'm not sure if the furnaces on defense can't really do that much against like things like Root Riders or other troops. So I feel like a lot of times Ice Golems are just more consistent. But I guess especially against Warden charges, they can be super annoying. I'm looking forward to see how people come up with different stuff, but my prediction so far seems like, I would say this troop is more on the underwhelming side than what we're used to over the last couple of years on the stronger side. But hey, yes, that's something nice to have as well. Right now, the fire mites are just rolling in and mostly hitting storages. It's not bad because they're starting the cleanup process, okay? So like it's not like it's useless. And I wouldn't say like it's a huge downgrade to Valkyries and such, but it's like not really that nice. It doesn't really has this nice power to the attack, so it's more just like, I guess, play style. We have more and more fire spitters, mostly taking out storages, but in the end, the Royal Champion is going to clutch it. With that being said, this is kind of what I think about the furnace, but I'm looking forward to your ideas on how you can utilize that, because in the blimp, it's not that great. On its own, as funneling, it's not that great. Behind other troops, it's okay. On defense, it is solid. Otherwise, it's a bit rough. But something, as I said, at least for the higher town level, which is a lot of fun, is going to be the new Minion Prince equipment. Because as I just said earlier, with the Angry Jelly, this equipment is turning into a beast. And especially with those Minion Prince charges. Is it going to be better as a Royal Champion charge? I guess time will tell, but I think for sure that that's a valid option to use if you don't like Royal Champion charges or other things. Overall, we have a lot of ways to use those hero charges by now, and especially with this combination of the new equipment, which is adding this crazy DPS, and at the same time you have the defensive tool of the metal pants, you always get solid value. As well, if you're getting surprised by black mines, don't worry, you have the metal pants, so that is just the ability which you can then use to protect your Minion Prince and keep tanking as well for the Warden. On this one, I'm using the Electro Owl, exactly as I said earlier. The new pet is just staying behind too much, so it's not worth it really to bring. But still, we got a great value overall, which means we have created the pathing, And as well, something which is nice, you have tanked a lot of traps by now, which you don't with the Royal Champion charge. Like Black Mines and such things are not going to be triggered by the Royal Champion. So that's overall quite nice. The the giant arrow across the base, and then just clean things up with the dragons to make sure that we have this strong push. I guess if you compare this to the Royal Champion charge combination, it's mostly like of trading abilities. With the Royal Champion charge, you have for sure the Dark Orb with the Minion Prince. On the other side though, you have now the Rocket Spear on the Royal Champ, for example. As well, if you wanted, you could use the Phoenix on the Royal Champion. That's kind of, I guess, personal preference, because you don't need the Phoenix on the Warden or on the Minion Prince because you're already using the Angry Jelly. So overall, a lot of things to like figure out over time, and I'm really looking forward to what your thought process is going to look like here. But I'm a really big fan of the Minion Prince anyways, and I'm not an even bigger fan of the Minion Prince charge, so I'm quite excited for that one for sure, to beat some bases, because this looks really fun. And take a look at that. I think there's a couple of dragons left alive of this attack. So even though we have the new defensive level, and yes, they're quite dangerous, you can still beat those bases with those dragons. And remember, with the new army camps, you have this additional dragon in your army capacity as well, or as I use, just a couple of test runes for the Minion Prince charge, or for your dragons on your own. Otherwise, that's it for this sneak peek. It as well was the last sneak peek for the March update. As I said earlier, the training time change is not going to happen right away with the update, as Supercell has to first get some clone bases going to make sure that there is not like crazy time issues and people are like spending hours in the clouds or anything like that. But that will happen at the end of March then with that thing. But don't worry, all of the changes and the final numbers there will be announced on this channel as well. And I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back with the next video tomorrow. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.